Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name is Matt Jarbo. And one of the things I've rallied the most against over the span of my 7 years almost here on YouTube is feminists. Right? I've talked a lot of crap about feminists. I have no problem with that. I think their ideology is basically a cult. I think they've done more to damage the discussion about the differences in gender as well as gender equality than anything else. But when it comes to their ability to speak, I do support that. I do support their ability to keep talking, because the more that they do, the more that we see how dumb they are. However, what we're seeing here once again are the different sects of feminism coming together to silence some people in their own group that they are probably going to accuse of wrongthink. And that's this article that popped up today on Adland, saying WordPress shuts down several feminist blogs without warning. Saying on Friday last week, the website hosting platform called WordPress, which is run by Automatic, abruptly shut down several well-established feminist blogs that were hosted on their platform without warning. The unapologetically radical feminist group Women's Liberation Front, aka WOLF, were owners of one of the suspended blogs called GenderIdentityWatch.com. Another well-established blog called Gender Trender had 8 years of posts wiped out by WordPress and Automatic. They received an identical email after their comments the content had already been made unavailable. The email, titled "Important Information Regarding Our WordPress.com Account," Sal P of Automatic states, "We received a report regarding the publication of personal/private information on one of your blogs, specifically the malicious publication of private details related to gender identity, including former names." So keep in mind what these guys were doing. What this blog was doing is I would argue these were very turfy feminists, right? Very trans exclusionary, or we're not big on the trans game. Not all feminists thinks that trans women are women, and it is very much something that always leads to some kind of internal civil war in the feminist mindset. And don't get me wrong, that shit is always funny to see. It is always funny to watch what happens when feminists butt heads like elk trying to, find a mate. It's hysterical to me when that goes down. But this is a situation where all these guys did, all this group did was discuss a criminal, and they used her dead name, and that got them booted off of their website. 8 years they'd run this blog. 8 years they had run this operation, wiped out because they used someone's dead name. And some will argue that's perfectly fine. That's not the name they want to use anymore. That's not the name they want to go by. But that is their legal name. And there's nothing wrong with using someone's legal name if they have committed a crime, especially one that involves children, or if they are a sex offender. I don't see a problem with that. Like, you cannot hide from those kind of crimes. All right. I'm not saying you shouldn't be able to move past them and better your life and figure things out, but you're never going to walk away from it. And trying to silence this stuff ultimately becomes the Streisand effect. Now, listen, people in the comments are going to sit there and say, Matt, right? And I'm like, look, no, I get it. That's why I'm saying this is wrong. Okay, I'm literally using my platform to sit there and say that this is wrong. You shouldn't flag people off the internet you don't like. I've made that mistake myself. Okay, you shouldn't do it. That's why I'm legitimately coming out here and saying this is a bad move on WordPress's front. Now, the ruling that they used is a recent change to WordPress's terms of service. In plain English, it means that you cannot link and discuss in news articles about convicted sex offender Karen White, formerly known as Stephen Terrence Wood, in this manner, because apparently WordPress wants to assist convicted sex offenders in their goal to assume new identities not connected to their previous crimes. It also means you can't talk about Bruce Jenner's Olympic medal that Caitlyn Jenner wore while posing for the cover of Sports Illustrated. As Bruce, Caitlyn won the gold medal in the 1976 Olympic men's decathlon. Ironically, there was no women's decathlon. And I mean, look, this article is going to have its own freaking mindset. Okay, they're going to push their own agenda, and that's fine. But they do have a point. If these blogs that have been operational, on WordPress for years, regardless of them being radical feminists, unapologetic radical feminists or not, they do have a right to speak. Now, there is the argument to be made that WordPress does have the right to boot them off if they violate terms of service, which is honestly something that is true. They do have the right to. But you would think that the WordPress would realize that they maybe would give them some notice about this. Like, maybe WordPress would come in and say, hey, by the way, you guys violated terms of service. Why don't you delete that article, or we're going to boot you, or here's a change, don't do it again, or something, or anything. They could have easily gone and made this whole thing, a lot more manageable. Like, look, we've changed the terms of service. You violated the terms of service because of this article. So blah, there's that. They could have done that. They didn't. They booted them. And even the owners of the blogs have come out and said that 100% no, they did not get any pre-notification. There was no notice, just the email saying that their account had been terminated, and they can still download their website's data and move it to another hosting platform. But WordPress is kind of like the main one, you know what I mean? And it's crazy that they're getting booted out for that. Now, listen, I'm not going to sit there and defend these people's ideals because I probably won't agree with any of them, but I am defending their right to speak, and I'm defending their right to fair treatment on these platforms. If all they've done is just discuss an article where they dead named a convicted sex offender who doesn't want to go by her old name because of past crimes and is moving on to a different lifestyle, I'm okay with that, to be honest with you, because they're discussing an actual crime. They're not trying to take away that woman's identity, but if that woman becomes trans in order to move away from where she's at and get away from the past crimes and not be Googled, especially if they want to work around kids or something, no, screw that noise. Screw that noise. Like, that's more of my conservative side coming out, right? Like, you can live your life as Karen White, fine. You don't want to be Stephen Terrence Wood anymore. Cool. I don't care. None of that concerns me. You want to work around children? Yeah, that concerns me. That concerns me. That really does. And I think people should be allowed to discuss it. They have a right to discuss it. And when WordPress starts dictating the content, and because of recent rule changes that do feel geared towards one specific type of group or over another, it becomes problematic. Now, that word in and of itself gets brought up, but this is a legitimate usage for it. I don't like this. I don't think they should be taken down, even though I probably would disagree with 90% plus, more, if not more, of what's on their website. They have a right to speak. We live in the country. They should be able to do this. This is one of the reasons why when people argue about the Internet Bill of Rights, it's predominantly based around the concept of having every website have to have to treat its users as if they were a government agency in terms of maintaining freedom of speech. Now, look, if they were violating the terms of service constantly, which is entirely possible that they were, then this could be one of those moments that does come out as being very much a violation of their, like a fuck up on WordPress's part, or no, I'm sorry, a fuck up on their part. Like, they screwed up, they did the problems, they got booted as a result. They had clear warnings, they just continuously violated terms of service. That's one thing. But if it just comes out of nowhere with the recent rule change and starts wiping them out, that's definitely a problem. So hopefully something will happen here. Hopefully there'll be enough of a push to kind of get WordPress to maybe reevaluate this particular listing. However, I don't think it's going to happen, if I'm being honest. And I say that predominantly because you're going to have a lot of unapologetically radical feminists being supported online by free speech advocates who these feminists most likely view as being literal demons. Like, this is one of those moments where it's the enemy of my enemy. So, you know what? Fight back at WordPress, because this is one of the things that they probably that they need to be pushed back on. However, those are just my thoughts on this one. I do really want to know what you guys think. Do you think WordPress made the right call? Do you think that the radical feminists were booted off with good reason? Do you think that it's possible that they'll come back? Let me know what you think. I really want to know. If you guys haven't already, please consider supporting the channel by leaving a comment. Toss a thumbs up, subscribe, share it around. And if you really want to support it, patreon.com/mundanemat. It does keep the channel afloat. I really appreciate all the help, guys. I will talk to you all later. Have yourself a great day, and peace out.